You're listening to Power 750 WAUG and online at power750.com. If you're looking for affordable health and insurance coverage, well then give Jonica Rowland of the Rowland Group a call. She's here to serve families, individuals, and small businesses. Contact her at 919-719-7211 or at 919-539-2492. Once again, contact Jonica Rowland of the Rowland Group. Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Babe Tom Herman Show here with your host Herman Thomas, and I certainly hope that you're enjoying this beautiful Saturday morning and will enjoy your early morning coffee with Babe Tom Herman. Now last week was part 2 of Should Coaches Be the Face of Colleges and Universities, and today is the final segment of that part 3, Should Coaches Be the Face of Colleges and Universities. And last week I touched up on former Penn State coach, former legendary coach in my eyes. He's not a legend anymore. Joe Paterno, better known as JoePa, played a greater role than previously known. And certainly after the Freeh report came out last week, we found out the dark side, the dark wheel of Joe Paterno. If you wanted to hear part 1 and 2 of Should Coaches Be the Face of Colleges and Universities, please feel free to listen on YouTube at my channel, Babe Tom Herman. And also please feel free to follow me on Twitter at Babe Tom Herman. Once again, I'm going to keep it simple. If you need to send me a personal message, please feel free to send to babetomherman@yahoo.com. Now, for the past couple of weeks, I went over examples of some of the failures of the faces of colleges and universities, such as John Calhoun, UConn's present men's basketball coach. Went over some of the failures of John Calipari, former coach of UMass and the University of Memphis, now the current coach of the defending champion Kentucky Wildcats. Some of his past failures and the negatives that come about when the faces of these universities, controversy that surrounds them. Now, to defend John Calipari, let's make this clear like I did last week. You know, a lot of people call him a cheating coach, but let's get it straight. I'm not here to sit here and just cast stones at these men, women of these universities that have become faces of colleges and universities. You know, the press that's now throwing stones at Joe Paterno, and rightfully so, of his legacy now that it's tarnished. And now they're tearing down these heroes because nobody's perfect. But a lot of times in the press, I noticed that they build up heroes and then they would, in the same pen, stroke of the pen, tear them down years later. A lot of these coaches didn't ask to be the face of the universities. I'm sure that Coach K didn't ask to be the face of Duke. 4 national championships, 1 Olympic gold medal. Looks like he's going to win his second one. But let's go back to John Calipari. John Calipari wasn't found guilty of doing anything wrong, but like I stated last week, it happened under his watch. That's the reason he's getting that negative criticism, and rightfully so. He's the face of the university. They had the return banners for, it's like they never went. The 96 UMass team, it's like they never went to the Final Four. They had to vacate it. University of Memphis, 2008, led by Derrick Rose. They had to vacate their appearance. It's like it never happened in the 2008 Final Four. Take, for instance, Bobby Knight. Let's go to Bobby Knight. Coach K's, he mentored Coach K. You know, the former Indiana Hoosier coach, Texas Tech basketball coach as well. He led the 1984 men's Olympic basketball team to the gold medal. In Knight's defense, I'm criticizing him, but in his defense, he did run clean programs, graduating most of his players. But this is a coach that also became the face of Indiana, of Texas Tech from 2001 through 2008. And he retired in 2008, of course, February 4th, 2008. And like I said, Knight ran a clean program, graduating most of his players. But when a lot of people think of Bobby Knight, they think of him arguing at referees, throwing chairs across the court during basketball games. And one in particular that I remember. So I might need to take games, not pluralize it, but at least one game that I saw. You know, we didn't have a lot of coverage. We didn't have YouTube back in, his indie days. So there was limited coverage, but I'm sure there's probably more than one game, but I witnessed one game. So I can only speak on that one game I saw when he threw a chair across the court. Now, also once arrested for assault and regularly displayed a combative nature during encounters with members of the press. which he now is a member of. That's kind of something I never imagined in my lifetime, that Bobby Knight would be part of the press corps, being that he is a member of the press corps with ESPN. Now, that was the face of those universities. And look, his temperament, all of that reflected on those two fine institutions. First of all, he pretty much retired February the 4th, like I said, 2008, from the Texas Tech Raiders. But he didn't have a choice with Indiana. They got rid of him. September the 10th, 2000, he was fired. President Miles Brand, he had enough of him. He adopted that zero tolerance policy on Knight's behavior, and he fired him. Let's look at his counterpart that coached the football team, Mike Leach. He became the primary face of that university once Knight left. We all know the story behind the Adam James incident, the son of former SMU and New England Patriot running back Craig James, who suffered that concussion. And we know about him being placed in a dark room. We know about the story. I'm not going to repeat all of that because that's old news, but I'm just using that as an example. Mike Leach was, there was allegations of verbal abuse to his players. So that was, and ultimately he was fired over those allegations. And that was the face of Texas Tech. How was he rewarded? Although he was fired, that didn't carry much weight because he will be coaching the Washington State Cougars this upcoming 2012 season. That's how he's rewarded. That's the win at all costs mentality that built up the Paterno regime at Penn State. This gonna, and I'm not gonna criticize Mike Leach to the point he could change. Allegations of verbally abusing players. Maybe Mike Leach might come out with a new attitude and realize that might not work this go around. Certainly, I wish him well, and I hope that he has a change of attitude as a coach. But that just remains to be seen. That really remains to be seen. And also, and I'm gonna defend Coach K on this. He has been deeply criticized. Received a lot of criticism for defending Joe Paterno on the Piers Morgan Tonight Show on CNN back in June because he criticized Penn State for the way they handled the termination of Joe Paterno. But to Coach K's defense, we didn't know. I even had reservations at one time that maybe they should have let him resign. Maybe they could have done it another way, a better way. But after the Freeh report, I think they hit it right on point. But certainly, when you become the face of the university for over 60 years, you run things. You're the sheriff. You run the show. You're the big show. He was the big show at Penn State, so, he ran it. There becomes that sense of entitlement. Shoot, some people feel a sense of entitlement after a couple of years. You just imagine you have 60 years under your belt at one program or one job. You don't even have to be the CEO. You run it. Now, Coach K, received a lot of criticism. I'm going to defend him because the Freeh report, he didn't have access to the Freeh report, wasn't made public. Now, according to the article written on July 15, 2012 by Kelly Whiteside of USA Today, Scandal, A Burden on Paterno's Legacy, in which Coach K was, after the Freeh report on the child sex abuse scandal last week, Coach K said Paterno's failure to act has marred his legacy. Also, Coach K added, that's a burden now on Coach Paterno's legacy, and that's just the way it is. And that's a true statement. That's the way it is. It's going to be a burden, and it is a burden on Paterno's legacy. Like I said, to Coach K's defense, and to many people's defense that stood by, their man, their friend. But after this report, you see a lot of them backing away from not protecting Joe Paterno's legacy. That's his family trying to do that. That's his close friends, allies trying to do that. He's deceased, of course. Just being by his side, his legacy side, supporting him, I would have probably done the same thing until all the relevant facts came out. Maybe I wouldn't have said anything until after the Freeh report. But, that was his friend. And many of us will defend our friends until we find out that dark will, that dark side of him. Paterno had that dark will that nobody knew about. That dark side that nobody knew about. No, he's not a child molester. Let's get that right. Joe Paterno didn't molest any children. But his friend Jerry Sandusky did. And by him and certain people holding administrative duties, holding administrative jobs at Penn State, protecting Sandusky, they enabled him. He used that university, their facilities. He used his power as an assistant football coach. He used his power even after he left the program with his strong connection with Penn State as bait to lure these young men. And that is so sad. These young, forget the young men part. I apologize. Young boys. They enabled a pervert because that's what Jerry Sandusky is. He's a pervert. And it's so sad that these young boys grew up to be scarred young men. And they need to be compensated. It's just sad. So sad of what happened and what Paterno allowed to happen. So don't worry, Coach K. Babe Tom Herman has your back. What'd you say, Roscoe?
Them Duke boys. They'll be coming by here just any moment now. I can feel it in my bones.
That was Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane. When I come back from this brief message, more on the failures of former Penn State head coach Joe Paterno. So please continue to sit back and enjoy your early morning coffee with Babe Tom Herman.
A Natural Skincare Studio. Now your new neighborhood skincare studio. Professional, friendly, relaxing, personalized attention. Now offering facials, natural manicures, pedicures, and waxing. Come check us out at 711 Iredell Street, Suite 3A, Durham, North Carolina, 27707. Give us a call at 919-416-1490 or check us out on our website at www.misseajbeauty.com.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back.
Oh, yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you like that. I know you like that. How long you been back, man? I see the girls in the club, they getting wild for me. And all the pretty chicks all...
Once again, that's A Natural Skincare Studio located in Durham, North Carolina. So please give Eugenia a call and set up your appointment. You can always feel free to go to my YouTube channel at Babe Tom Herman or Babe Tom Herman YouTube channel and listen to past broadcasts of this fine show. Also, any personal emails you would like to send me, feel free to voice your opinion. BabeTomHerman@yahoo.com. And please also follow me on Twitter at Babe Tom Herman. Just listen to this segment of the Freeh Report courtesy of CNN.
Our most saddening and sobering finding is the total disregard for the safety and welfare of Sandusky's child victims by the most senior leaders at Penn State. The most powerful men at Penn State failed to take any steps for 14 years to protect the children who Sandusky victimized. Mr. Spanier, Schultz, Paterno, and Curley never demonstrated, through actions or words, any concern for the safety and well-being of Sandusky's victims until after Sandusky's arrest. In critical written correspondence that we uncovered on March 20th of this year, we see evidence of their proposed plan of action in February 2001 that included reporting allegations about Sandusky to the authorities. After Mr. Curley consulted with Mr. Paterno, however, they changed the plan and decided not to make the report to the authorities. The failure to protect the February 9, 2001 child victim or make attempts to identify him created a dangerous situation for other unknown, unsuspecting young boys who were lured to the Penn State campus in football games by Sandusky and victimized repeatedly by him. Further, they exposed this child to additional harm by alerting Sandusky